Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our First NBC Bank Weekend Review. Brought to you by First NBC Bank with 39 locations throughout southeast Louisiana and into the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. LSU had a rough weekend in football. The Tigers had penetration after penetration after penetration inside the 10-yard line and basically couldn't score. Botched a field goal, went the wrong way on a play, fumbled the ball, did everything imaginable to shoot themselves in the foot and lost the game as a prohibitive favorite, which might have sealed the deal for Ed Orgeron if, in fact, there was any question about whether he was going to stay on or not. You never say never, but certainly at this point you would think that the odds are against him retaining the job.
I think so. You had to feel like a win over Florida, a win over Texas A&M, getting to the Sugar Bowl might be enough to get it for him, and even then that might not have been enough. And look, this is going to be an interesting week in Baton Rouge from this standpoint. You've got to believe, from a player's perspective, they are going to be very much behind Coach O in his quest to get this job. And all indications are they are, I want to say, definitely moving in another direction, but they're certainly exploring other directions. It's not to say that he could not end up being the permanent head coach, but at least the pursuit is on, and clearly target one appears to be at this point Jimbo Fisher, which is no big surprise. So, look, it's unfortunate. The thing that kind of was ironic in my mind, if you will, is what we saw in the Alabama game, what we saw in the Florida game that could end up being the reason that Orgeron does not get the permanent job. It was almost a take back to the Les Miles era offensively. And that's I guess the fact is this is the personnel that you have, even though you can try to change things schematically all you want. At the end of the day, you've recruited and you've geared yourself to do these things better than some other things, and you've got to be able to run the ball in those situations. And clearly, when they got down tight, close to the end zone, they couldn't make some plays in short yardage situations that ended up costing them.
Well, it is the same problem that we've seen throughout. It's personnel. When they face the better defenses this year, Wisconsin, even Auburn, to go along with Alabama and Florida, you see that their offense is exposed. They're average to below average at quarterback. Their offensive line, while solid enough, is not good enough against the better defenses in this country. That's pretty obvious. And then Darius Geis is a good running back, but he's not Leonard Fournette. And we saw that, a costly fumble, and, of course, going the wrong way at the goal line just killed LSU in this game. So the bottom line is they're plenty good enough on defense. Dave Aranda's done a fantastic job. Their running back position is always good. Their wide receiver position, good enough. Tight end position, good enough. But, Lenny, if they want to beat the elite teams, they got to be better up front on offense, and they've got to be better at quarterback.
They do. And what's going to happen going forward? Look, that all remains to be seen. But did the referendum, if you will, on Ed Orgeron, in essence, come down to that fourth down play? And look, you got to get players to perform, and if somebody went the wrong way, someone went the wrong way, and it's, unfortunately how this business works sometimes. It does come down to W's and L's.
Yeah, he scores, it's a great call, and they kick the extra point, they win the game, but he didn't score and they lose. So, end of story. Tulane, not much to talk about. They were awful at home on senior day against Temple. A better team, to be sure, but to get shut out at home and do nothing offensively was just not the way you wanted to see this group go out. Really a long way to go for this program and a long way to go for this offense.
And all I can think about is this coming Saturday when they go to play UConn, who is
bad too.
They've not scored the last 2 weeks. They've been shut out twice in a row and are last in the nation in offense right now. So, what could Saturday bring? I mean, you remember that LSU Alabama game was 0-0 after 3. And we're talking about what a great game it was, great defensively. If this game's 0-0 after 3, we won't be using those adjectives, okay?
No, I suspect not. Yeah. That won't be the conversation piece whatsoever. Good news for the New Orleans Pelicans. They got Drew Holiday back. They've won 2 straight, including a thrilling overtime win at Charlotte. And I don't think anyone would have imagined he would have been this good coming back the way he did, but he has been. Langston Galloway came up big against the Hornets. Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis, and obviously this is an improved team because of Holiday being back. and they got the Atlanta Hawks coming up on the road, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and at Portland, then Dallas. So it's an interesting week, to say the least. Kind of a strange game that kind of sticks out like a sore thumb, having to travel to Portland for a one-gamer before coming home.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I noticed when the Pelicans' schedule came out this year is when they've gone to the West Coast in previous years, it's usually been for 3 or 4 at a time. You've got this kind of one-off out there at Portland, and you turn around and come back to Dallas. You've got some others that are maybe just 2 games, much like you had a couple of weeks ago. They went to Golden State, Sacramento. Then they went to Milwaukee before they came home. So some different things on the schedule in that regard this year. But look, Holiday makes a difference, obviously. Did you expect him to make the impact he made this quickly, essentially being a point-a-minute guy? He scored 21 points in 23 minutes on Friday night, came close to those kind of numbers on Saturday in the overtime game. But what it does is it gives you another high-quality player on the floor that's, it changes your rotation a little bit, but it gives you a better player on the floor for a lot of minutes. Still bringing him off the bench. I like that idea, at least initially here. And look, at some point you may see a change, but I like the rotation thus far with Frazier starting and Holiday off the bench.
Yep, the Saints, of course, play last Thursday. They'll be back in action against the Rams this Sunday. The Rams are offensively challenged and good defensively. And then, of course, there's high school football when you're talking about the playoffs, semifinals on the select side, quarterfinals on the non-select side, and still a whole bunch of area teams that are alive and well.
It's a lot of fun. You hear Rick Gailey say it. You hear other coaches say it. If you're practicing Thanksgiving week, that's a great thing. And there's 28 teams in Louisiana still practicing Thanksgiving week. You've got, is that right? I did my math wrong there. There's 56 teams, 28 games. There's 56 teams. Yeah. You've got 8 left in the 5 non-select brackets. You've got 4 left in the 4 select brackets. So this is a good time of year. A lot of great games in Southeast Louisiana Friday night. Go check one out. We'll have our coverage update for you coming later this week at SportsNOLA.com. We will have a game for you here on the website Friday night.
Looking forward to it. Should be fun, my friend.
I'm looking forward to it as well. Have a great Thanksgiving. We'll see you before then to preview the weekend.
You got it. That's our First NBC Bank weekend preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 39 locations throughout the New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. For Lenny, I'm Kenny. Have a great week, and God bless you.